Welcome to the Sideload, where we think it should be illegal for the sun to set before 6 p.m. I'm your host, Will Sattelberg. This week, I'm once again joined by 9 to 5's own Ben Schoon to talk about Gemini's transformation of the Google Home experience. Over the weekend, Ben published a piece titled "Gemini has made Google Home incredibly smart except for the dumb mistakes," and I'm excited to dive into what makes this update as surprisingly intelligent as it is unsurprisingly flawed. And so, Ben, welcome back to the show. You were our first guest. It feels only right that you are our first repeat guest.
Yeah, it's good to be back on, and truer words have never been spoken about the daylight.
I had a feeling you of all people would appreciate that sentiment. There's snow on the ground outside. I know that is probably unsurprising to people who know I live in Buffalo and are like, yeah, Will, like, wow, Buffalo has snow on the ground in November. It really hasn't been snowing in November the last, many years. Like it's been like green Thanksgivings and honestly, even like green Christmases. I feel like we have not been getting most of our snow until January. So it is odd to have snow on the ground right now. It's going to melt tomorrow, but
it's weird to have flurries in the forecast for North Carolina tonight. So
there we go. Are you excited about that? Are you a snow guy?
I grew up in New York. I miss snow very much. But
well, you can grow up in New York and hate snow.
No, I miss snow.
That's fair. Well, then enjoy your flurries. It's kind of beautiful out right now, and would only be more beautiful if we had Christmas decorations up, but we don't. There's none of my neighbors have their lights up yet. It is a little early. So, Ben, speaking of Christmas lights, smart home. You wrote an article about your experience using Gemini for Home, which is Google's new AI-powered, Gemini-powered experience for various smart home gadgets, specifically, Nest cameras, but also just in general, giving summaries and other, Gen AI-powered experiences with your devices plugged in. So kind of talk me through, well, let's start big picture, actually. Talk me through Gemini for Home. What's included in this? What is it? Because it's kind of a new add-on experience in some ways for the Google Home app. So tell me what that program is.
So yeah, it's kind of split up into two pieces. The one half is just now rolling out. I actually don't have it yet, which is the Gemini for like your speakers and smart displays. Yeah. And I think that's the upgrade like everyone has been waiting for, because we've seen how AI can fix and help a voice assistant, which Google has desperately needed to do. Yeah. The part that I've been using the most and enjoying is Gemini's integration into Nest cameras and to a lesser extent, the rest of the Google Home app. And as that piece that you mentioned goes into, I think there's really like 3 layers to that. And the first one is just, it makes the Nest cameras so much smarter. Every time you get a notification now from a Nest camera, you get a actual description of what that is. Yeah. Assuming you're paying for that. But yeah, so you get a description of what's actually happening versus just something moved or a dog was seen or, this person was seen. It's really good, actually, because it gives you actual descriptions of everything that's happening.
Okay, so what part of this is paid, or I guess how much do people have to pay to opt into this experience?
So the way they have it set up now is there's Google Home Premium, which is basically your Nest recordings for 30 days, and I believe that one is also for the Gemini voice assistant stuff for like Gemini Live. Yeah. And then there's Google Home Premium Advanced, which is a terrible name, but whatever, which is 60 days of the Nest recordings, but it's also the AI descriptions in your notifications. And the other feature, which is Home Brief, which is basically a summary of what your Nest camera saw for the day, right. Which I did not think I needed, but is actually kind of really useful.
Well, okay, let's get into that then, because you're saying some of these features are incredibly smart. In fact, your headline implies that most of this feels incredibly smart to you. And then there are the mistakes on top of it. But let's start with the good. So what makes this captivating to you? What makes you want to pay for this service? And how does it upgrade your home experience? Because it's an app that I think has kind of gone through a little bit of a renaissance lately. Like they've been at the very least paying a lot more attention to that application and how you access it and where you can access it. And so what does, this paid tier kind of add on top of it in terms of making your home feel smarter?
Yeah. So AI notifications, honestly, those feel relatively self-explanatory because it's literally just, it's a descriptive label on the notification. So if you are you getting notifications throughout the day, you might actually get one that's useful. Like, I think one of the coolest things that it did was, as we do in this line of work, we get a lot of packages delivered.
Yeah.
It actually correctly identified like a FedEx truck, an Amazon truck, and the notifications said who delivered what.
Oh, and that's actually impressive. Yeah,
it's really cool.
That can be really handy. Again, that feels a little niche, but for people like you and I, if you were expecting a FedEx package that you have to sign for and an Amazon package that you do not have to sign for, it actually is handy to know which is at your door at that moment. So, it might not know the box, but if it can say, I see a FedEx truck outside right now, like, to rush for that front door. That's smart.
Yeah. And it's, it depends on, where you live, what you do at your house, to how useful that'll actually be.
Yeah.
But I think the possibilities are very high. And the fact that it can be really accurate sometimes is impressive. Like we have a camera in the kitchen and I was making dinner and it's actually good enough to know, like, I was cutting specifically chicken. Like it didn't just see, oh, Ben's cooking in the kitchen. It specifically knew I'm cutting chicken.
Yeah.
And I thought that was impressive. It's kind of meaningless, but it's impressive.
I was going to say it's I don't want to rain on its parade, but it is a little meaningless, right? Because it's cool it can do it, but then if you were to ask me, what does that add to the application? What does that add to my smart home experience? It becomes like, well, it's, I guess it's cool to know if you are away from home and you have kids, you can see, are they eating something they shouldn't be eating or doing something they shouldn't be doing very specifically, or same with pets. If someone was dog sitting your dog and fed them the wrong food, maybe, like, I can think of really, really niche examples where that kind of technology or that kind of specificity kind of would shine through in the app. But like, largely speaking, it does feel a little bit more like a parlor trick than anything, where it's like, isn't it cool we can tell you're cooking chicken? You're not really going to need that.
No, I agree. Because there's also the example of, like, it knows what cars my wife and I drive. Like it got the make and model and color correct, which is cool. But also every car that drives by, it just says red SUV, a white car. It doesn't, that's not always as useful. So it has a lot of variance right now. And that's also where the mistakes come in, because sometimes it's just wrong or utterly useless. And that's kind of fine, but also can be an issue. One of the things that was referenced in the piece was an article from The Verge where they were testing out the same features. The notifications refused to acknowledge that she was holding a knife. Something you might want to know. Her husband walked out of the house carrying a shotgun, and it labeled it as a garden tool. Those are two things I would actually want it to recognize pretty accurately. So
certainly more than chicken. Yeah.
Definitely things it needs to work on and get better on over time. But the foundation is impressive and better than I expected it. Like, I expected to go into this because AI makes mistakes constantly. One of the things I talked about is it's always confident in what it says. It's not like, it might have been this, but it also might have been this. It was this thing. That's always going to be a thing it's going to have to beat out. And the fact that it is as good as it is right now, I am pretty happy about.
where do you see this fitting in though? Like do you see this being something that, you know, your average consumer who, let's say, has one or two smart cameras, maybe? I actually, that's probably an abnormal consumer as well. But let's paint the picture of someone who is, you know, tech literate, but not tech enthusiast, perhaps, right? Like they have one or two smart cameras, maybe, you know, one outside and one, you know, somewhere in their house. Like, is this a thing that they would get a lot out of? Like, even with those specific details and maybe putting aside some of its more glaring mistakes for a moment, like, is this something that you see normal people springing the extra cash per month on? Or is this more of a power user tool, right? A you know, someone who is fully bought into the idea of every room has a camera, or lots of rooms have cameras, and there's several cameras, you know, permitted outside and so on. Like, is this really just for that kind of person?
I think this gets more useful the more cameras you have.
Okay.
I think Google made a good decision in making this not like an add-on. It is part of, like, if you were paying for 24/7 recording through Nest, which I would argue is what you should be doing if you're buying security cameras.
Right.
This is just added on to that. It's also technically cheaper now if you have the right account set up, because if you have Google One, you get Home Premium for free. And then this extra tier is only $10 more instead of the $20 it used to cost. So I think they made a lot of good decisions there. I think that usefulness depends on how many cameras you have, and again, what you are doing in your house, where you live, all that stuff. The biggest thing about this that makes it all worth it is that third part of it, which is Ask Home, which is where you basically talk to Gemini.
Right.
And you can ask it questions about what the cameras saw, about what your smart home did that day. The first example that I had was just, you know, mainly for fun, because I haven't had a natural use case for this quite yet.
Yeah.
Because I do think these are going to be hit or miss. But what I did was I asked it, where was my laptop? Just because, you know, the cameras would have seen when I was using my laptop, where I put it down. Where's my laptop? I waited like a day after I was in the living room using it. I just really quick typed in, where's my laptop? It pulled up the exact time when I put it down on the coffee table and said it has not moved since then.
That's impressive, actually.
And that's useful.
Yeah.
So, you know, little bit of a easy test, because it's a laptop and I left it in plain view.
Big, obvious shape. They all look alike. It's not like, you know, a wallet maybe is a little bit more difficult because it's smaller. There's many different types of wallets. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But again, if that's the foundation to where right now, when it's in public preview, it's only been available for a couple of weeks. It can recognize the laptop in 15 seconds, pull up the relevant clip and tell me it hasn't moved. That's actually kind of useful. The thing I can see it being useful for is with dogs, because then I can, if we're not home, and a lot of times we've had where one of our dogs like jumped up on a couch so he could get up on the counter and like grab napkins or whatever. It would be nice to be able to ask, hey, what did the dog get while we weren't home? And just see if it can at least pull up the clip and tell us where it is. Because I think that is most useful for when you're going through footage. Because as it was before this, if I wanted to go and find where I put my laptop, what the dog got, who dropped off a package, I had to either scroll through the activity clips or just scroll through the timeline until I found the right found the right clip. And that's not an easy task. It's also not quick. It might take me 5 minutes to find the right clip. This takes like 15 seconds, and yeah, that's actually really useful.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised, and maybe this is maybe this is rude of me, but I'm actually surprised at how useful it is, like in both theory and practice, because how many times have we seen AI added to an existing app, especially on a premium tier, but even on free tiers, and you know, at best it's something to ignore. At worst, it's like actively in your way, or, I think you could even argue something as popular as like Google Photos. I think the initial rollout of their AI powered search for photos was like significantly more cumbersome and slower than what it was replacing. And so you had people like me, and I think maybe to a certain degree yourself, Ben, who were pretty frustrated with how,
it was awful.
Switch back to classic search. And to be honest, I still think I prefer classic search more often than not, but that AI search has gotten better. This feels like that same core idea, but rather than replacing something that worked surprisingly well already. Like I've always thought that, like, as long as you know the key search term that you're going to type in, Google Photos can find you pretty much whatever you want it to pretty quickly. And AI didn't really change that. It just made it slower, but added, language processing. This, as you said, is replacing something that is very tedious, right? Like scrolling through like hours and hours. And I've done this. We don't keep a ton of cameras online when we're in the house, but when we're traveling, when we're on vacation or something, definitely we have a bunch of smart home cameras that go up around the house just to keep an eye on things, specifically like our cats more than anything, just to make sure they're not breaking anything, since somebody's only checking up on them once a day usually. And I have had to like scour through, a couple hours of footage before to figure out if a cat was, fed or if a cat knocked something over, anything like that. And to be able to just kind of be like, find the last time, find when the vase broke in this room or something. Like, that's actually useful in a way that it speeds up a process. So as much as I think, it made sense for Google to start with photos, or to start this sort of, LLM powered search functionality on photos, I think it makes sense to bring it to home. And I think it's a far more fitting, no pun intended, home for it here.
Yeah, no, it's Google Photos is actually a pretty good comparison, because this is using AI to basically make Google Photos search for your Nest cameras, which is, again, really useful.
Right.
But it also feeds into the other features. The other one being Home Brief, which I had mentioned earlier, which is kind of just a recap of what you get through the day. And again, that I thought that was surprisingly useful too.
Yeah.
One of the examples was just my wife had gone to the store at one point. She came back. She bought flowers. I had no idea until that night when Home Brief told me she came home with flowers. Like, oh, I didn't even know she did that.
It's going to ruin so many Christmas surprises this year. It's going to ruin
honestly,
any kind of gift. It's just, it's done. It's going to be like, somebody's going to open their phone and be like, hey, what did I miss today? And your phone's going to be like, well, your wife carried in that new PS5 you've been wanting. So
honestly, it would probably do that. That's
what I'm saying. The PS5 box is so big and prominently marked. And obviously I'm using like a joke thing, but like, think about how many big, gifts you could correctly identify using AI, especially if it can identify car makes and models and flowers and laptops, right? Like, there's no reason it can't identify the Oculus Quest 3 that you're or Meta Quest 3 Oculus. What year is it? It was better branding. It was better branding. No, I want to talk a little bit about, because I is this something, the summaries, is this something you see yourself using often, or is this more of a hit me with this when I'm on vacation or I'm traveling for work and I need like to binge through the activity both in and around my house?
It will be more useful by far when you're not home.
Yeah.
The only time, like, I think the flower thing is kind of the only example I've had of like it being useful when I was at the house. Cause if it's just going through the day at the house, I mean, it's going to tell me I cooked, I let the dogs out.
Right. Very predictable.
I cleaned up the yard.
It's also
like,
probably would fit better with kids, which neither of us have, but like you could see it working there. And the dogs, and in cats, in my case, examples are like obviously much more minor examples of the same idea, but with
kids
you
it would be very
shiner.
useful. And I think that was one of Google's examples was, a kid broke a vase or moved a vase or whatever. That would be useful because it has facial recognition, which has gotten way better with the Gemini update as well.
Yeah.
It no longer thinks I am like 7 different people. Part of that is I went through and fixed some of, I deleted some familiar faces and cleaned up those libraries a little bit in preparation for this. But it has definitely been way more consistent in recognizing the people who are home every single day.
One of these days I need to go through my Google Photos recognized faces and clear out a good 2/3 of them that are strangers or pictures of people that are not it's I took a photo and there was a movie playing in the background and it thinks that Matt Damon on my TV screen is somebody I know, right? What I mean? It's nonsense sometimes when you open that, where you're the first 6 or 7 I've labeled, and then the following 5 or 6 are people that I'm often in photos with or often taking photos of. And then from there, it's just chaos. It's just true. I don't even know who that is. This could be 5 people. It spins out of control so fast. Okay. So on the home summary side of things, tell me a little bit about, and you touched on this a little bit, but tell me a little bit about its hallucination issues, its mistakes. How bad were they? I don't have a less blunt way to ask that. How bad were they?
With both the home brief summaries and the AI notification labels, it's just wrong sometimes. It's not egregious, thankfully. I have yet to have one that's how did you even get that? It's minor details, I have a blue car. It has probably at least 1/3 of the time so far said my car is gray. That's a weird mistake to make. That's one that doesn't even make sense to me.
Lighting is the only thing I could think of. The lighting of the surrounding environment would make it's
just a weird mistake.
You also think it would just it should just save that information and be able to refer back to it.
It has honestly it's all small stuff. It thought that that there were 3 dogs instead of 2. It caught us going outside and walking outside, but not us walking around the house. It considered that a completely separate event.
Weird. Yeah.
It's all been little tiny things, thankfully. But it's just, that's the nature of AI right now, is it's always going to make dumb mistakes, and it does undercut it a little bit.
Is it easy enough to jump into video footage and find the dumb mistake, or to clarify the dumb mistake? Maybe, is it easy if you read something and you're that's suspicious, I don't understand what that is it easy enough to find the moment it's referring to, or does that lead you back to digging through hours of footage?
Thankfully not. So every home brief comes with a list of the clips that it's referencing.
Okay. So
if you click through and you actually you're reading the home brief, it will then list out all of the relevant clips that it's using to create that summary.
Okay.
So one of the examples was, I have a disc golf cart. It called it a child's bicycle, which they do not look the same at all.
Right.
It's not even in the same ballpark, but it said that's what I was putting into my car. If you look at the notification preview with the little animation, it's pretty quick. You'll recognize it pretty quickly.
Sure.
My biggest issue with that clip was that it said I loaded it into the car. It was already in the car. It just was there.
Right.
So
did you touch it at all? Did you take it out of the car?
Nope, didn't even touch it. I was just nearby it. I was putting stuff around it, and it just assumed that's what I was doing. So
got it.
Little stuff. None of it has been big. One of the other ones was I was working on the leaves in the yard, and I was taking a leaf blower and just moving through the yard. And halfway through me doing that, the event descriptions started changing from leaf blower to rake. And it's never pulled out a rake. I didn't pull out a rake. It's weird to change it halfway through, but also kind of harmless right now. The Verge examples with the shotgun and the knife are a lot more dramatic in that sense.
And so yeah, and I was just about to bring those back up because those are the weirdest ones, especially, you know, the shotgun one is like has to be some kind of programming where it doesn't want to bring up weapons, but it needs to bring up weapons, like straight up.
That's one where it's like I can see where it made that mistake. If it was like if it was like a full-on assault rifle or a pistol or something, I feel like it would probably say that.
Sure.
But if you're walking through your yard with a big straight object,
right, that
it is probably a good assumption to say it's a garden tool, not a gun.
The knife example is much worse because I believe the author of that piece notes that at one point she waved it in front of the camera. So not great if you can't identify the knife waving threateningly or even not threateningly, just in general in front of the camera. I feel like you should be able to notify that. But I'm sure that will make a good bit in Scary Movie 6. It'll be a really funny joke when the Michael Myers stand-in waves a knife in front of a camera and one of the characters gets a notification saying it's a lollipop. I don't know. I'm hire me, Scary Movie 6 writers. Hire me.
I would be really curious to see how it would handle an actual situation where you want to know there's a gun or a knife.
Well, there's a ticking time bomb on this a little bit, right? Because that's gonna happen. Just like 100%. Inevitably, there's going to be, you know, somebody who is an enthusiast for this stuff will have it set up the way you have it set up. And inevitably something will happen, right? It won't, you know, hopefully it's nothing too bad, but there will be some event that this person is able to take to Reddit probably and say, hey, there was a threatening person outside my house, or there was this weird event happening outside my house, and Gemini thought it was this completely innocuous thing. And I just, you can see the news cycle coming. It might be in 3 months. It might be in a year, hopefully it is fairly minor in scope and does not result in like an actual break-in or any kind of crime. But like Google is sort of, and perhaps that's why it's in early preview at the moment. But Google is inviting this on itself, where just inevitably something is going to happen where someone feels they're in danger, and Gemini is going to say otherwise.
Yeah, and that's also exactly, I can't say that is exactly like the reason, but that is the implied reason of why ADT is not letting their customers use this yet.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even know that.
If ADT customers, even if they have the new Nest cameras and all that stuff, they can't use any of the Gemini stuff until they're ready, which was implied to be a not short timeline. So I think that's going to be a bit. Yeah,
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it's one of those
in a
really,
security context, it makes 100% sense.
It's tricky, right? Because I think you and I both agree that this is like a pretty good use of this, you know, LLM based image recognition and object recognition technology. But at the same time, there are obvious downsides, and this is not, you know, somebody is trying to generate an image of, you know, people protesting daylight saving time. It's people, and it screws up the image and you have to regenerate it. This is, I'm trusting Google to properly report to me what's happening in and around my house or my apartment. And it's gonna make mistakes. Just inevitably, it's gonna make mistakes.
Yeah, I completely agree.
That's not to say that I don't think Google should do this or even be rolling this out, by the way. I think we can say that this is like a net improvement on the app overall. It's just that you hope that they are working hard on minimizing hallucinations. And also, I think they should, you know, probably make it less, as you said, it's very concrete in its assumptions, and it should probably hedge more. I think would be, you know, a good, if I could adjust the settings of this to say, you don't have to be like 100% sure, but if you think you see something dangerous, like let me know. Like I would rather I'd rather get false positives than false negatives in that case, I think.
Yeah, I agree. All that said, I think that with the features they have put together, the pros outweigh the cons.
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
You're going to benefit from this more than you are going to lose from it. And even just in simple ways on improving existing things. Like I had mentioned earlier, the familiar faces have gotten so much better just like overnight with this.
Yeah.
Again, I can't be like an exclusive example of that because I was already adjusting it and trying to improve it. But they used to be awful.
Yeah.
It would constantly either not recognize me or my wife, or it would think I was like 4 different people. And I have not had issues with it since the Gemini update. So it's a win on that alone. But then, you're also getting all this other functionality on top of that.
What changes or features would you want to see come to this like suite of utility? Because it's early days, but you sound pretty positive on it, and I feel like the things you don't like about it are things that affect every AI powered application, and frankly, we don't have a solution for hallucinations yet. So putting that aside, for now, what would you like to see come to this experience?
Well, yeah, no, you're 100% correct that it's really good as is. I think Google put together an awesome vision for what they want the smart home to look like.
Yeah.
As far as what to add to it, honestly, I wouldn't have thought of the things that they'd thought to add to it.
Interesting.
Having like Ask Home is not something I would have immediately thought of.
Yeah.
For the smart home, because it was such a foreign thought before.
Right. Well, it's so much video to dive through, but that's such a good example of where this technology can fit in without feeling like it's replacing anything, or like it's literally just taking a task that you and your phone could already do and automating it, which is not usually that's frequently not how we think of these AI rollouts, right? We think of them as, I don't want to throw shade at Samsung, I guess, unearned shade, but like,
it's okay. They can catch a stray.
Most of the Galaxy AI platform, for example, is just like, we have a translator, we have a writing tool suite, right? Like how many smartphones have we seen roll out with essentially the same ideas, or even if it's, slightly more, novel, Motorola's like automatic playlist maker or things like that. It's like, okay, we haven't seen that yet, I guess, but does it add to my life? Do I think about this more than during the review period, or do I expect any regular user to think about it? Like, no. And Google, especially over the last like 6 months or so, I think has really come into its own on thinking of ways that Gemini can improve applications in ways that it wasn't already there without this technology. And I don't know. I think that's
they're past the point of, okay, how can we stick this into things that it's already, similar.
Yeah.
And they're coming up with new ways of using it, which is great. One thing that I think would be cool, and I guess to answer the earlier question, really to continue using AI in the smart home, Gemini in the smart home, really just comes down to easing the friction points that exist today. Yeah. One of those I can think of is I would love for Google Home to get better at looking at Nest camera events and putting together a summary of an event instead of just each camera's interpretation of it.
Yeah.
So like if I walk in the front door, walk through my living room, walk out the back door, I would love for it to be able to tell me like, that whole event instead of just Ben was seen at the front door. Ben was seen in the living room.
Right.
Ben was seen in the back door. Because no one really is good at that today. Everyone is they're focused on a camera at a time. Right. And like Home Brief is kind of the first example of putting it all
linking
together.
Multiple cameras together. Yeah.
But it would be nice to be able to do that on a shorter basis.
Instead of like per day. Yeah, that makes sense. No, and that's got to be coming, right? Like that feels hopefully. Like the next natural step of this application already is to be like, I'm looking at your screenshots right now, and when you were You mentioned the leaf blower transforming into a rake, right? But like all of those events, in your screenshot, there's 5 of them and they're 4 minutes apart, right?
Just
and
put
instead
it all
of
together.
just combine that together and be like, no, we know. And that's even just on one camera, but you can see examples throughout where it's just like, okay, well, this should be able to know that I got the leaf blower out of the garage, went out, used the leaf blower, and brought it back into the garage. Having
because then also if I'm later like, hey, where did it go? I can see where I left it.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, like in the case of these are security cameras. You want them for security, not just for being able to tell you where you left things.
Yeah.
Being able to give you a summary of, hey, there was this guy outside your house last night and he went from the front door, he went into the backyard, and then he went back out the front and then left. That would be nice to know, even if it's not like something, worrying. Maybe it's just like a city worker who had to go inspect your water access point. I would love for it to be able to tell me the whole event as seen by multiple things instead of just this camera saw this and this camera saw this. And again, like Home Brief shows, they're on the right track for that. I think Ask Home also shows that, because I think when you ask that, it's able to do it, but it's not able to do it consistently. Like, it's been raining off and on the past couple nights, and I was actually wondering, how much did it rain? So I asked, when did it rain?
Right.
And it showed me overnight when it rained, but it showed it like in like 6 or 7 different time blocks, even though it only rained like twice when you actually looked at the footage. So it's not quite there yet, but I think it's on the right track.
Maybe final question on this, because I think we both agree that this is like a surprisingly big upgrade for the Google Home like app experience. Gemini or AI in general has already been built into most Google apps at this point, I feel, at least to a certain degree. There are still some remaining, though. Do you have an idea of what the next application, even if it's one that already has AI in it, like maybe you think Gmail is going to get a massive AI overhaul, even though it already has some AI stuff in it? Like, what do you think is the next, like, Gemini for home, like revolution that will hit a Google app? Or what if you don't have one, if you don't have a guess, what would you like to see it come, this kind of transformation come to?
I think I would like to see Android Auto do more with Gemini than it is now. So Gemini is starting to roll out to Android Auto as of like last week for like 5% of people.
Yeah.
It's good. I try it. It works great. I love Gemini. It? Yeah, I have it. Okay. Gemini Live in the car is cool. I've been wanting that for a while. But it's also,
how short are the responses? Because that was they said they were going to make them shorter. Does it feel like they made them shorter?
It feels like Assistant. It feels like Assistant, just good.
I mean, that's an improvement, but I was really hoping.
But I would like to see Gemini like be used in the car. Yeah. In like better context. Like Google Maps on Android Auto has suggestions on where you want to go. I feel like Gemini could be way better at that. At knowing what's on your calendar, things you recently searched, all that stuff. I think that would be way better at it. Yeah. And they did kind of come up with some ideas on Android Auto how to use Gemini in different ways, like being able to translate messages on the fly. When you get a message in another language, it will read it out in your language. And then when you reply, it will send it in the other language. Okay. It's cool. But yeah, I would love to see them come up with some more ideas in the car to be more relevant. It's all background stuff, though. I really don't want Gemini to be a front-facing all the time thing. I like when it just takes... I like when AI takes existing things and just makes them better. Yeah. So like I said, being able to give you the better Google Maps recommendations, maybe being able to suggest a better route. With Gemini, like if I say I want to go here, here, and here, being able to give me a good... it could automatically be like, okay, well, like you should go here first.
The 9 combinations of ways or the 6 combinations of ways you could visit these places. And we've decided that like, if you go here, here, and here, that's the best for you. Yeah.
Yeah, because maybe this one, it knows this one closes first or something.
Right. No, that's smart.
Yeah, I don't know. Android Auto Summer, I'm excited to see more of it. It's starting to roll out to Google TV a little bit more right now. I feel like Google TV has a lot of options, but I also don't know if Google's willing to put the effort in. Like, Google TV is big on recommendations, whether you like it or not.
I don't see the vision. I'm willing. I'm open and willing to see what Google wants to do with this. But you and I have already had many disagreements in Slack and beyond about Google's vision for Google TV.
Yeah,
and that I don't like it, and you think it's fine. I don't know if I would go as far to say that you love it, but you like it, and yeah, I certainly think it's okay.
I think it's better than Roku, and I think it's way better than Fire TV. So. Is
that where we're placing the bar, Ben? Shouldn't we want better for ourselves?
That's what these devices cost.
I know. To me, it's that I don't find Google's recommendations on Google TV to feel particularly customized to me, especially because they tend to front load the advertisement part of it.
Yeah, and that's where I would like to see Gemini step in, and because I feel like you could use Gemini's better understanding.
Yeah, I guess I could see it if you were like, I really want to watch like a romantic comedy that is not an action romantic comedy, right? Which we've seen a lot of in the last 10 years. And you were like, and I want it to star Sandra Bullock or something. Like you could use it to, but to me, I guess, and maybe this is just how I watch stuff, but in my head, I'm like, well, I either have no idea what I want to watch or a pretty clear idea of what I want to watch. And in both cases, I don't know how Gemini fits in, because if I have no idea what I want to watch, then it's difficult for me to prompt Gemini for things. And in that case, default recommendations might already work better. Yeah, and if I do know, then maybe Gemini can pull it up faster. But I'm already looking for a movie or a TV show at that point. I don't need it to be powered by Gemini.
Yeah, and I think Gemini's voice assistant doesn't have to play a role here at all. I think that'll be perfectly fine at everything it's going to do. I want them to use Gemini to improve the rest of it, to improve the current recommendations. Because like you said, they're not always very relevant. They're very easy to accidentally skew just from like one search. God, yeah, it would be really nice if they could use Gemini to kind of supercharge the recommendations, but without you having to do anything. I don't know what form that takes. That's the thing I guess I'll give Google credit for right now is I think the home stuff shows that they are actually coming up with some pretty good ideas that are not expected. I was going to say exactly that. And so like, let me float, because I'm sitting here trying to be like, okay, Google Home does show that they have some out of the box thinking on this. Like, I would love to see, and I don't think they would ever do this because it's not very friendly to the streaming platforms, but I would love to see Google build in a service that lets me, tell Gemini the shows I'm actively watching, right? And specifically Netflix's case, but in general, this might mean a show that is on, that drops 10 episodes on a Friday and then doesn't come back for 18 months. It would be great for Gemini to be able to know I like that show. And then, and this is when the AI would come into play. It could be like, okay, so this month you have 3 shows returning on Netflix that you really like and no shows returning on HBO Max that you really like. What if you cancel your HBO subscription for this month and renew your Netflix subscription for this month? And then we'll check in a month. Again, I'm trying to think out of the box on this, but I'd love to see something like that. I don't expect them to do it because it also doesn't necessarily need to be built into the TV for that to happen. You could do it on a phone, but something like that would be great in a way that makes it streamlined and easy to do. I had the same idea for Google TV, like when I was trying to think of what the future of it could be. Because the mission they set off to fix was recommendations. Yeah. More or less kind of done. So I figured what's next? It's such a nightmare trying to deal with streaming services now because everything is everywhere.
Yeah. It really is.
So yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I did not think about it with Gemini, and actually Gemini would probably be really good at that.
I don't see why not. If it just knew exactly when, it could just make up a plan for you to be like, stay subscribed to Netflix for 2 months and then hop over to, and you could make this even larger where you could just tell it movies that you always want to keep track of. And maybe it decides of like, oh, like currently the best place for you to give your, $20 a month streaming budget is Disney Plus because you really like Christmas movies. But come January, your best bet is to switch back to Netflix because Bridgerton is returning, and I'm obviously making up examples, but like, that would be okay.
Yeah, that would be really good, especially just because Gemini is good at the planning. But honestly,
it's kind of the best thing. That's why it's always vacation plans and demos. Yeah.
And honestly, this probably would have been realistic 5 years ago when everyone, if they had. Because that's when they introduced Google TV, it was 5 years ago. Had they, when Google TV dropped, said, and if you do all your billing through Google Play, we'll let you do this. Netflix would have put up a fight because they put up a fight about everything. Even back then, now, they still don't fully integrate with Google TV.
They don't. Same on the Apple side. They don't play nice with anybody. So,
but 5 years ago, had they done this with HBO, Disney, Peacock, Paramount, that actually would have been feasible and really cool.
Yeah, it would have.
But now we're way past that. Everyone wants to fight each other, as we're seeing with the whole YouTube situation.
Yeah, which is a mess, and who knows if and when that gets better. I both believe it could just break overnight at any moment, and I also think this could go on for months. Like I both seem feasible to me. But yeah, it's TV is such a weird platform, and obviously we're doing that thing that people love to do, which is just being like, well, I don't like, let's just start spitballing on how these companies could build AI into it. But like, I think Google is sort of the exception on this stuff, and that for as much as they are often I'm terrified of the day they build their Sora app clone and we get a Google made social network for AI videos. Not something I particularly need in my life. With a messaging app built in. Obviously, how else are you going to send links? But for every one of those, it's like Google does roll out this stuff where you and I can look at something and be like, yeah, look, obvious problems here. They need to figure out the weapons thing. Hallucinations are going to be a problem with this. It's a ticking time bomb. And also, obviously a benefit if you are a Google Home user, if you are a heavy smart home user, obviously a benefit here. And I could see that stuff happening on platforms like TV. I think it's just a little bit harder to totally foresee how it goes. And also my own problems with Google TV as a platform means I don't have a ton of faith in them to figure it out, which I think is fair.
It's absolutely fair. Yeah, no, I think, we're just seeing time and time again that Google is actually getting really good at figuring these out. Because the other recent example that I've loved is the Raise to Talk with Gemini on the Pixel Watch. That has completely changed how I use a smartwatch.
Yeah.
I never cared about voice assistants in the slightest, but being able to go take my dog on a walk and just lift up my wrist and say, close the garage door and start a walk with Fitbit. And the fact that it can not only handle that command, but do it without me having to touch anything is awesome.
It's kind of the promise. It was kind of the promise of smartwatches.
Yeah.
I would say that you were not going to have to use this little touch screen. Like you will be able to start stuff with your voice. And now that feels more of a reality than before. I certainly never used Assistant on Wear OS watches beyond, its initial launch period because it was so frequently bad. And I swear to God, my fail rate with Assistant on watches was 50%. And by fail, I mean not even starting, not even recognizing that I've prompted it. Just,
it was bad.
Just being sorry, we didn't catch that. Can you repeat it? It was terrible.
It was bad enough to where the Fitbit Google Assistant experience was better than the Wear OS one.
Oh man. Awful. Awful.
But they were both awful.
Yeah. Not good. Ben, thank you for coming on and walking us through Gemini for home, because I think it's like a surprisingly big change compared to what came before, and a complex change at that. Like, there's a lot of good here, there's a little bit of bad here, there's some unknowns, but I think I and the listeners and viewers have a much clearer point of view on this. I want to ask you one last question before you go. It's November. We're wrapping up. We're looking forward to the end of 2025 and the start of 2026. What's your favorite phone of the year? That's what I want to know. What's your pick? Favorite phone of 2025?
That would probably change by the day, but I mean, I guess vote with my wallet. It's the Fold 7, because I paid for it and it is still my daily phone. And like,
I'm really surprised I expected you to buy it in July as you did, and then by September be lured back to Pixel.
I've been jumping back and forth. My carry was the Fold 7 and the Pixel 10 Pro XL while I was reviewing the XL. And then I switched to the iPhone as my secondary to do some Android Auto CarPlay stuff. And I'm very thankfully done with that. How do people use iOS now? I don't get it.
You don't like class?
That's a conversation for another day. So right now it's the Fold 7 and the base Pixel 10, which is a nice combo. But I still find myself grabbing the Fold 7 more than anything.
It's a great phone. It is kind of surprising how well they've done leaping forward, basically, right? Like, the Fold 6 felt, even with a new design, felt so stale compared to the then current OnePlus Open and the released right after, Pixel 9 Pro Fold. And I feel like Samsung essentially packed. So it's the only time this decade I've seen them do this, where they packed what would once have probably been 3 generations of improvements into one device, like, which is great for consumers. And they were rewarded for it. That thing's been selling crazy good. But I'm curious where they take it from here, because I'm curious to see if the Fold 8 even looks particularly different, or if it's kind of a spec bump.
We'll see what happens.
That's about it. Yeah.
Honestly, what it's been coming down to for me lately is that the software is more and more Google's experiences are working really well. Design aside, working very well. The design's a problem, but on Samsung phones, to where there are still little nitpicks I have here and there, like the stupid notification stuff on Samsung. I miss my history shortcut. Literally,
and for me, it's now
5 times
playing.
a day.
It's every time I'm not on a Pixel. I miss now playing.
It's little things here and there, but I've never been more comfortable on a Samsung phone than I have this year.
It's interesting.
Which is, it's great.
It's good news for Samsung, especially as they do not appear to be leaning into Material 3 Expressive with One UI. So
they're doing liquid glass.
I don't want to talk about it. Ben, thank you for coming back on the show. It's always fun to talk to you over a voice call, a video call, as opposed to just every day and Slack where we usually chat. But yeah, I mean, this has been great. And we'll have you back on soon. Maybe every 10 episodes. I don't know. Who knows? No, you'll come back on, because you are constantly writing interesting things that I want to talk to you about. And that was true before we worked together, and it's certainly true now. Where can people find you?
I wonder where. No.
Well, besides 9 to 5 Google. Just go to the homepage.
Yeah.
It's Ben probably wrote the story that's at the top. If not, scroll one more down. That's a Ben story.
Outside of 9 to 5, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, at NexusBen.
There we go. Easy enough. Do you ever think about changing it to Pixel Ben?
Oh, I've had that comment so many times. No, I don't think I'll ever change it.
That's fair. Hey man, I as a soon to be defunct reference, the Sideload. I'm right there with you, buddy. I don't think I'm changing it anytime soon, but we'll see. Anyway, to the Sideload listeners and viewers, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Tell a friend about the show. Check out Pixelated, 9 to 5 Google's other podcast that I am on with Damien and Abner, who I still need to get on this show at some point, as I need to convince him to join the video lifestyle for podcasts. I think that's all I need to do. Don't know who's on next week, but it should be a fun one. I have at least one guest in talks. It's just a question of whether he can record this week or not. So yeah, we'll know soon. Also gonna take probably the week after Thanksgiving off, that Monday, just because I don't want to try to book somebody for Thanksgiving. So a production note on that. But until next time, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.